Obviously, we got another game this week. I think both teams will be excited about playing each other. We're teams of very similar talent levels. They throw the ball around like crazy. I mean, they've got one of the leading passers in the country, a couple of the leading receivers in the country, and they throw the ball a bunch. So they're up there in the tops in passing yardage and those kind of things. So after I watched the NFL game last night, when they throw it around like that, I mean, it makes it really, really hard on the defense. So our offense has to keep the ball away from them, or we're going to have to play really, really well on defense.
Do you enjoy watching a lot of passing and throwing it around, or are you like, does that make your head blow up?
Well, no, I don't like all those points being scored. I mean, I think it's good for the fans to see the ball in the air and great athletes making plays. But a lot of that has to do with, since they're throwing it around younger, throwing it and catching it younger, they're more skilled at it. And then a lot of it has to do with how the rule changes have made it impossible for the defensive guys to have a fair shake. You can't touch them anymore, and you can't hit them anymore. Can't hit the quarterback, can't hit the receivers, can't touch the receivers in a route, but they can shove off of you. So that's the game they want, and I guess that's for TV and fans. So the game is going to continue that way.
What's most exciting in a game to you? Like, what would be your best score?
Well, I think when it's not a totally skilled game, there's some toughness involved. And the game is turning into a total skills game, where a team with less talent that might be the tougher, more aggressive team is having less and less chance of winning because of the rule changes and because offenses have gotten so skilled at what they're doing. The passers are much more skilled than they were 10 years ago. The receivers are much more skilled than they were 10 years ago. And the defense, the one thing the defense had was aggressiveness. You could hit quarterbacks and you could light up wide receivers on crossing routes. Well, now there's no fear factor. If you touch a quarterback, it's a penalty. If you touch a receiver, it's a penalty. And if I had a son growing up that wanted to play football, I'd tell him to make sure he played on offense.
Do you think that's the game's evolved that way to please fans more, for safety more, or is there some?
No, I think it's all the same. I think it's safer. I think you can practice that stuff all year long, and players like practicing that kind of stuff. So you can practice that kind of stuff all year long, where you can't practice running into each other and you can't practice pushing on sleds and all those kind of things. And I think it's healthier. Eliminating some of the violent contact is healthier for the players. And I think it's more if I was a regular fan and not a coach, I think it's more pleasing to the eye to see all those athletes out there doing all those fantastic things. So I think there's a lot of things involved on how the game's going, and it'll probably make it more popular.
So you said Hawaii likes to pass the ball, so from a defensive perspective, what will be the challenge this week?
That's the same challenge we have almost every week because everybody's running similar offenses now. But the only question we have is which quarterback might play. But they throw it. I mean, they throw it and throw it and throw it and throw it, and they catch most of them, and they run with it, and they score a lot of points. I think they're close to averaging 38 or 40 points a game. They're over 400 yards of total offense a game. And most of their games are high-scoring games. They don't win them all, but they seem to be all high-scoring games. I mean, I think they scored 2, maybe 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter last week to win. And it wasn't the starting quarterback. They took him out, and the backup quarterback came in. So it'll be interesting to see. They're not going to change the offense, but it'll be interesting to see which quarterback starts.
Hawaii started 6-1. Now they're 7-5. Do you feel like they were as dangerous now as they were, let's say, a month ago?
I think the teams are very similar. I think that they started off hot, like we did. I mean, after the first game of the year, we got where we could win some games. All their wins except one of them were fairly close games. And then they got into some tight games where the other team was just a little bit better than they were, or the other team made the play at the right time. And now last week they made the plays at the right time to win. I think the teams are very similar.
Is there anything in Hawaii's defense that you guys could maybe expose or exploit?
It'll be interesting to see because other than playing Army, which is a triple option team, they haven't played any running teams. And I think it's hard on their defense. If you're seeing the spread in practice every single day, it's hard on a defense to get ready for a running team, so hopefully we'll be able to run the ball. Now, this is an off-season discussion on what our offense is about, but we don't have a chance to win if we don't rush for 150 to 200 yards. If you look at the days that we struggle running the ball, those are the games we lose. That's the way we're built, and it's been very, very successful over the years, but we're not running it with the efficiency that we once did or the effect that we once did. So there might be some discussions during the off season and all that stuff. Now's not the time to do that, but for us to have a chance to win, we got to be able to run the football and keep it away from them.
I guess every senior class is different. You didn't have many of them, but what are you going to remember about these guys?
I think that they all hung in there. I mean, expectation levels are high. It always helps if you have a lot of juniors and seniors on your team to keep the success rate going at that kind of level. There was very few seniors. There's a few more juniors, but very, very few seniors. So I think it was more difficult on them to lead the team than the senior groups in the past. I mean, if you have 25 seniors, that kind of affects the whole team. When you have 14 and you've got 40-some freshmen, guess who has the biggest opinion in the room? It's not the seniors. It's the freshmen have the biggest opinion in the room, and we were all that age at one time. That opinion is very flawed.
Coach, your offense scored 2 quick touchdowns in the game last week. Does that in a way put more pressure on the defense because they're out in the field longer?
It does, but you never look down when you score a touchdown. I mean, scoring a touchdown is worth it no matter how long they're out there. Now, we're back to how our team is built. Our team is built for our offense to control the football and our defense to play well. That's how the team is built. Last week, not only were we unable to run the football, the time of possession was way in their favor too. So keeping it that close was, it could have gotten a lot worse. Let's put it, it could have gotten a lot worse than that. But I saw some life last week. I thought we played with more energy. I thought we played with more intensity. I thought we played with a little excitement that we haven't seen in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And hopefully that carries over to this week.
You talk about Christian Chapman, how he improved, like after his injury. You think he's better throwing the ball?
I think Christian's about like he was before he got hurt. I don't think he's 100% anyway. He got hit a couple times in last week's game, and it didn't look like it felt very good. And a guy that is completely healthy, they don't ease up off the ground. They jump up off the ground and that sort of thing. So I think he's playing. He's probably still a little injured, which makes it more difficult on him. But, he played pretty much like he had before he got hurt.
Will he start again this week?
Yeah, he'll start. Mm-hmm.
Is it the same plan where Agnew will come in about the second quarter and then field out who might be playing?
Yeah, exact same plan. Christian will start somewhere in the second quarter. Ryan will come in for 2 series, and then our coaches will decide at halftime which guy should start the second half.
Senior night affect Christian Chapman's playing time?
No, I don't think so. I mean, senior night means that we celebrate the season or the seniors before the game, and then we get into a football game and don't worry about who's out there. We're trying to win the game.
With so few seniors, did it make their job as leaders a little more difficult?
I think it made it a lot more difficult. It's since our program is built that way, that we try to make our seniors the leaders on our team, I think there's a lot of anxiety on their part because a lot of times they're not put in that situation. There's a lot of stress that they're not normally used to because they haven't been put in that position before. And when things go wrong, there's a lot more stress on them. I think it's really good for their education to feel all that stuff, by the way. But the more of them you have to spread that out, and the more of them you have, seniors that you put in leadership roles, the more influence they have on the whole team. They just come in contact with more guys. If you got 10 seniors, they come in contact with, I don't know, a third of your team every day. If you have 20 seniors, you come in contact with 2/3 of your team or 3/4 of your team every single day. One of them, the freshman will bump into a senior, and that, they see each other on campus. They see each other in the locker room. When you only have a few seniors running around, they don't have the same influence because they don't see those guys that often.
You guys won 6 straight games against Hawaii by a combined score rate here, 211-66. Can you talk about just in past years of what's been going well?
Yeah, what has happened in history has nothing to do with the present. I mean, it never does. Their coach has done a really good job. They're playing at a much better level now than they were last year. I think his first year there, they did pretty well, went to a bowl game. And now he's got his program in place, and I think he decided to go with the run-and-shoot offense this year, which was different than they did in the past. And I think that's because when he played at Hawaii, that's what they did, and they were very, very good. June Jones was the coach, and they went to the Sugar Bowl and all that kind of stuff running this offense. And so he went to this offense, and they've been much, much better this year, especially on offense this year than they have in the past.
Can you talk about Troy Cassidy, how much he's helped you this year?
Well, Troy Cassidy is a good football player that is now starting. Hopefully he's going to be a better football player next year. Obviously he's had good days and bad days. He's got a world of potential. He's a really good athlete. I think he's just scratching the surface. We expect him to be a much better player next year.